tutorial, I will be sharing with you our third new beta feature called My TFR Workspace. So My TFR Workspace is meant to help our users stay more organized with the types of grants that they're interested in beyond bookmarking. So let's take a quick look at just best practices. So say we're running a search in all opportunities for youth. I want to see foundation grants. I want to see any US locations. So best practice, if you remember as a refresher from bookmarks, you use your bookmarks tab or your bookmarks tracker as your first pass at grant research. So let's take a look at the Hearst Foundation's online grant application. I'm working in the space of youth, so I want to go down to see what is their mission, what is their funding priorities. So we're going to see culture, education, health, social service, and that primarily serve large demographic and geographic constituencies. Okay, so let's say my youth program is focused on education. Okay, so my entity, let's say I'm a nonprofit, just noting that tribal governments and entities are also eligible for this grant. One limitation is that you have to have audited expenses of at least $2 million, and also your leadership must be in place for at least 1 year. So your executive director, whoever your leadership person is, must be in place for at least a year. Okay, so best practices. Yes, this looks really great. I think I'm going to go ahead and apply for it. So let's bookmark this opportunity. So I'm going to run my general search and I'm going to bookmark all of the opportunities that look interesting to me as a first pass, ones that I want to go back to and I want to take a second look at from there. Then I'm going to go to my bookmarks tracker and I'm going to say, all right, now I'm going to start working through this based off of the different grants I'm interested in. So my bookmarks, I'm going to want to group these by data source. So for me, that's going to help me see these are going to be all my foundations or funders, and then these ones here are going to be all of my grants that I need to take a look at. So you can go ahead and just poke around and see different types of groupings that might work best for you. So maybe let's try grant type. Grant type is going to break this up by federal, foundation, corporate giving, and tribal giving programs. All right, and then that'll put all of everything else here in the unassigned category. All right, so now as we're going through our bookmarks and we're starting to take a closer look at the grant opportunities that we've bookmarked, we're back to the Hearst Foundation online grant application. What I'm doing from here is I am taking a look at the opportunity, one of the things I'm wondering about just a little bit more is, when they say leadership must be in place for at least a year. Let me take a look at that. Application instructions. Let's see if that's where it's at. Oh, these are just very technical instructions and it doesn't give me information about eligibility. So let me take a look at the other. Okay. So let me see. I can't see it off the top of my head really quickly. So Control F for leadership. Don't see it here. Instructions, evaluation. Okay, maybe it's under funding limitations. Let's take a look. Okay. Undergoing leadership transitions or with new leadership in place for 1 year. They do not fund organizations that are undergoing leadership transitions or with new leadership in place for less than 1 year. So if you have a new executive director, this is a little bit challenging for tribal communities who do have new leadership on an annual basis. So this might be a case where you would need to reach out to them to say, just our governance is new every single year. And so, what would you advise? So let's then say, all right, everything else looks good here. I'm a 501c3. I'm not asking for them to fund any of these other things here. I'm interested in an endowment grant, and we'll provide some more information on endowments a little bit down the road here in this year. But for right now, let's see. Okay, so organizations without regional and national support or without grants of 100,000 and above. Okay, so they're going to want to see that there are grants in your portfolio that are at least $100,000. So what they're looking for here is a really established organization, that you are steady, you have a strong foundation, you have steady cash flow, and that you have been invested in. So that means, there's buy-in from other organizations regionally and nationally as well. Okay, so from there, I think that this is a grant that I'm more than just interested in. I'm going to start working on a proposal. I'm going to click right here in my TFR Workspace. And in my TFR Workspace, you have all of these wonderful opportunities to stay organized, because I don't know about you, but when I'm going down the rabbit hole of grant research, I sometimes am like, oh, that one grant was so great, but I cannot remember the name of it. It is just escaping me. And then I spend unnecessary time trying to Google, trying to go through my search history, trying to remember the keywords, going through my email, looking at my bookmarks on my browser, not necessarily in the TFR. What we try to do is help you stay organized, not only using the bookmarks tracker, but also through my TFR Workspace. So in my TFR Workspace, this is meant to help you organize those thoughts, start moving your grants through the pipeline. So for this, I've taken some time, I've investigated and researched, and yes, I'm interested in this grant. So let's say that's all I know right now. That's all you're required to do. You can save that and say, yes, I'm interested in this grant. So what that means is that from your bookmarks, you can go to your TFR Workspace. You can group it by the type of grant, location, so on and so forth. But for my purposes, I've got it organized to say, I want to see it organized by if I'm interested in this grant. So I've got all the grants that I've said, yes, I'm interested in applying for these. So these are the ones that I'm not just like, this looks interesting. These are the ones I'm seriously considering. What you can do is, let's say, I'm just going to use the grants that I have saved in here. So let's say that I'm working with my team and we say, you know what, this federal grant here, it actually, doesn't look like a good fit for us right now because we don't have maybe proper documentation in place. Maybe we need to have an MOU with, whoever it is. You can drag and drop between these different trackers that will update. It'll update within my TFR Workspace to say, no, I'm not interested in this grant. So drag and drop is an opportunity and a function you can use here. So let's go back to that Hearst Foundation grant application. So in this opportunity, let's say that I just want to keep myself up to date. I have applied for this grant, and I've actually applied for this grant for $1 million. So that's step 2. In my notes, this can also be used for the TFR team, that it's only visible to you. We have the opportunity to just get some insight as well. Any information that you provide helps us to continue to improve the TFR, build new tools that are useful to the TFR community. It also helps us to see maybe some trends. We're seeing a lot of folks who are applying for capital grants. Where can we support those folks a little bit more so that we can just specifically call out some capital grants, or, just seeing those types of trends. So in the notes section, you can say, applied for a new youth after school building, education after school building, save. And when you close that out, it's going to stay here. But let's say you want to go further in your process. So now I just want to see the grants that I've applied for. Okay, so I have applied for the Hearst Foundation grant. Let me say, okay, I have heard back from them and I was awarded this grant. And they actually gave me 1.2 million after we adjusted the budget and really honed in on the costs that I need. Maybe I needed to cover some indirect costs that I didn't include. So I'm going to say yes, I applied for that grant. Yes, I was awarded, and I actually got 1.2 million. It doesn't happen all the time, but this is best case scenario. And so now, since I've saved that, it continues to be saved here in my TFR workspace. And you can now see under awarded grants, the Hearst found us from our bookmarks to our interested in this grant to applied for this grant and then awarded this grant. So again, this helps you stay organized as your grants move through your pipeline and hopefully through award. And we are working on some capabilities to be able to download these things because it's easy from my experience, it's easier to be able to download reports where you can then just easily put those into your own internal systems, or if you're running to a meeting and you want to just get a quick report on the grants that you've applied for. So we're working on those capabilities so that you're able to just run the report, download it, head off to your meeting with your leadership and say, this is what I've accomplished during this last, month or this quarter. So again, this information is helpful for you, but it's also helpful and gives helpful insights for the TFR team as well. And that is how to use my TFR Workspace, one of our new beta features.